Hello there, and welcome to my Booktube channel. My name is Jim, and today I'll be answering the Booktube Newbie Tag Questions. Question number 1. Why did you start this channel? I started this channel because I love reading. I love reading and I love talking about the books which I've read. I've been following some booktubers for a while now, particularly Katie from Books and Things and Claudia from Spinster's Library, and I thought I'd give it a go. Question number 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Well, I'm an Englishman living in Georgia. I haven't seen any other Englishmen living in Georgia on Booktube. This is Georgia in the former Soviet Union, not Georgia in America, home of Coca-Cola. I came to Georgia originally for 3 days as a tourist, but I was invited to a wedding. I drank a lot of wine, I met Hatuna, we got friendly, then I came back, we got married, and the rest, as they say, is history. As an immigrant, I can see my home country, England, from a different perspective. I can also see the country I've arrived in, Georgia, from a different perspective to the people who were born and raised here. I tell my Georgian friends here that in England we've heard of 3 Georgians. Firstly, of course, Joseph Stalin. Secondly, Katie Melua. And thirdly, Giorgi Kinkladze, the darling of Manchester City in the 1990s. Sadly, we haven't heard of the great Georgian painters like Pirosmani, like Lado Gudiashvili. We don't know the great Georgian writers like Rustaveli, like Bajap Shavela, like Galaktion Tabidze, like Nodo Dumbadze, because these are very rare to find in English translation. Question number 3. What are you most excited about for this new channel? Well, during the 1980s, I followed a lot of bands around. I went all over the UK, following bands like Primal Scream, following bands like Underneath What, New Model Army. It was exciting, but I was very much a spectator. Recently, I've been following some booktubers, and now I want to climb on stage as well to share the spotlight. Is this being too vain? Who knows? We'll see. Question number 4. Why do you love reading? I think there's a magic when as a child you first learn to read. When you put the letters together to form words and the words together to form stories, there's this magic. Unfortunately for many children, this magic is destroyed by school, where they tell you what to read, where they ask you questions about what you read. This magic is destroyed. But this magic has never left me. I like the way books can transport you to other worlds. If you don't read, you just live the one life. If you read, you live many lives. You can wander through Dickensian London. You can fly into space. You can take on different personalities. This is a great book. Americana, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is about a Nigerian woman who moves to America and then moves back to Nigeria. Reading this, I can somehow get into her skin, which I couldn't without reading this. Reading has this kind of magic. You live other lives, you experience other lives, you come out of yourself. That's why I love reading. Question number 5. What book or series got you into reading? I've always been into reading. My mother, she stayed at home with us children until my youngest sister went to school. She taught us to read. We could read before we went to school. The first books I read for myself were the Dr. Seuss books. I love these books. They're very colourful, they're crazy, they're zany. This is The Cat in the Hat. I read many Dr. Seuss books. Are You My Mother? Green Eggs and Ham. They've just got this craziest craziest rhymes and illustrations. But our fish said, "No, no, no, make that cat go away. Tell that cat in the hat you do not want to play. He should not be here, he should not be about, he should not be here when your mother is out." This is wonderful as a child, reading the Dr. Seuss books. Seeing this as an adult gives me this wonderful nostalgia buzz. The other series as a child I liked were the Ladybird books. There were lots of Ladybird books. I like cars. This was one of my favourite, the Ladybird book of motor cars. The faster cars were my favourite, like the Aston Martin DB6 and the Maserati Mistral Coupe, 155 miles per hour. It's nothing like a Bugatti Veyron today, but this captured my child's imagination. I love these Ladybird books. Question number 6. What questions would you ask your favourite YouTubers? I don't really know. I'd probably ask them technical questions like what editing software do they use? What cameras do they use? What about lighting? Things like this. I'm not too familiar with the technical side of posting videos, so those would probably be the questions. If I had questions on specific videos, I'd put the question in the comments section. My favourite YouTubers, Katie and Claudia, have put out videos on Booktube about how to Booktube and questions for Booktubers, which has been very useful. Question 7. What challenges do you think starting a YouTube channel will be hardest to overcome? There are many challenges I can see. Talking confidently to the camera. Some of the American YouTubers I follow have wonderful smiles like Mr. Kaka. Mine is not a wonderful smile. The editing software, this will be a big learning curve. I'm new to this editing game. Also trying to find time to consistently put out content. Question 8. When did you start reading? As I mentioned before, I read before I could go to school. I probably started reading at about the age of 3. And I've been reading ever since, over 50 years. Question number 9. Where do you read? I read anywhere and everywhere. I read on the metro, I read on the bus. I usually have a book with me wherever I go. All I need for reading is some light and a book. Maybe now I'm getting older, I might need these glasses too, but that's all I need. And whenever I have some time, I'll just sit down and start reading, whether it's in the park, on a park bench, whether it's waiting in the bank. And I read a lot when I'm travelling. The final question, question number 10. What kind of books do you like to read? When I was 15, I went through a long science fiction phase. I read Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, Clifford D. Seamack. Then this went into fantasy, into horror, as many science fiction writers went into these other genres. Fantasy, I'm still reading fantasy. This is Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. Peter Straub is usually in the horror genre. I read a lot of classics, particularly now in Georgia, like Silas Marner, George Eliot. This is one of my favourite classics. I read historical fiction. This is very good. Finger Smith, Sarah Waters. It's like a female version of Oliver Twist, but much better than Oliver Twist. I like reading biographies, autobiographies, particularly of writers and of comedians. This is Dara O'Brien. There's also Jack Dee. I like reading humour, I like reading comedy. I like books about art. This is Rembrandt. Often I'm just looking at the pictures, but I like books about art. I said Pirosmani. Here I am just looking at the pictures because the text is in Georgian. But yeah, got lots of books about painting. Thank you for watching. As the cat in the hat would say, that is that. If you like what you saw, like and subscribe down below. Bye. See you in the next video.